Good evening and welcome. My name is Michelle Dutrissa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stamping Up here in New South Wales, Australia. I'd like to welcome you all tonight. If you've never been on here before, please jump on, say hello, let us know where you're from, where you're visiting from. It's always wonderful to say hello to new people here on my live. Excuse me, I'm just sort of puffing a little bit, running a little bit late. Okay, or just on time. So as I said, please jump on, let me know that you're here, say hello. We're a friendly chat, friendly group of people on here, and it's always great to have a chat and welcome you. So I'm going to get started. This is Template Tuesday, but we're going to do a scrapbook layout today. So I've gone onto Pinterest and I've found this particular layout here, which I've been playing with. I just thought this is a really great one to do. It's got two photos. One is a landscape photo, the other one is a portrait photo, though when I was going through my photos that I wanted to use, I didn't have a landscape. So I have cut one down to a 4x4, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to give the look of also of a landscape without it being a landscape photo. So, and I'm going to change this up a little bit. It's not going to be exactly the same as what I have got here on my template. For this one, I'm not going to be adding a title, and there's just a few elements on here that I'm just changing. But otherwise, the layout is pretty much the same, okay? So let me just pop that aside and I'll show you what products we're going to be using tonight. So I was going through looking at my photos and trying to work out what sort of papers and that I wanted to use. Hi, Deborah, how are you? Thank you for joining us. And I really love the Thoughtful Journey and the papers that are in this. I love these designer series papers that they have down here, but I also love these ombre papers, which have got a little bit of a nice shimmer to it. Hello, Joan. Thank you for joining. So glad you can come on tonight. So they're the papers that we're going to be playing with, and I will show you my photos and everything in a moment. I'm also going to be adding some of the Simply Zinnia die cuts to this as well, stamps and die cuts, just for the fact that it fits in with my photos. I'm not quite sure what else to say. I've used some of the die cuts from this. I've die cut some of these elements, which I will show you in a second. But this is sort of what I'm looking at using. It is a little bit complicated with trying to use a 6x6. And so my thought process around is how I'm going to use it. The same as I think last week I did a scrapbook page as well. And again, I just used one 6x6 piece of paper in that as well. Hi, Anne, how are you? Good evening. Thank you for joining us. So I'm going to show you a different way you can use, or I'm using my 6x6 papers. And if you've never given scrapbooking a go, please give it a try. As Stamping Up are now sort of shifting a little bit just to go into a bit more of a scrapbooking world with close to my heart now joining us. Scrapbooking, just to give you a little bit of a background with me with scrapbooking, I have been a scrapbooker for many, many years. I started scrapbooking not long after my children were born. I started off in Creative Memories. I then left Creative Memories to join a design team that's local here to me in the Southern Highlands. It's not around anymore, unfortunately. And I was on their designs team for a year or two. Hello, Deborah. How are you? Hello, Leslie. Thank you for joining us. So I've always had a scrapbooking background. And then when we had to renovate, some of you may have already heard a bit of this story, but when we had to renovate, all my scrapbooking stuff got put away and I got into card making because I was telling my husband that I could keep it more under control. But I mean, it's gone way out. But anyway, the beginning of this year, I decided that I wanted to get back to scrapbooking. So with the fact that close to my heart, has gone through what they've gone through, and Stamping Up now sort of absorbing them into the company. It's allowing me to get back to what I've always loved to do, and that is more into my scrapbooking. It is a little bit of a learning curve of me at the moment. It's a learning curve in a couple of different ways. Number one, looking at stamping up products with a different eye, having to look at them and how can I use them as a scrapbook page rather than just for cards. How can I use the stamps and how can I use the dies? And also too, I haven't done scrapbooking for a long time, so I'm sort of having to relearn, even though there's not that many techniques that are different. It's slightly different way of thinking, because a card is so much smaller, and a scrapbook page, well, you've got your single page layouts and you've also got your double page layouts. So that's a little bit about me and scrapbooking. It's something that I'm hoping that I can teach you guys a little bit about, if you don't already do it, that you might get an interest in, having a go and making a few pages yourselves. You can also take some of the layouts that I'm doing on scrapbook pages and condense them down to a card. You just need to change some of the elements. I mean, of course, you won't be putting a photo on there, but a photo could become a card front, reducing the sizes down. There are ways of doing it, or just taking certain elements you see on a scrapbook page and putting them onto a card. So there is that crossover. So I'm hoping that as I go down trying to get back into scrapbooking, that you guys will follow me as well on my scrapbooking journey again. So let's get started and let me show you what we're going to be doing with the products I've got. Now, as I said, I've got my map here as my guide, and I've made a few changes to this, so we'll go through that as we're working through it. So the two stamp set suites that we're using are your Thoughtful Wishes, which, as I said, is part of the, lost that page, part of the Thoughtful Journey suite. So that's, I've got the dies there. I'm also using this flower here from the Simply Zinnias, and I'm also thinking of using this Thank You So Much sentiment here as well. And I've also got the splatter stamp out of this set here as well, just thinking I might do a few little splatters on my page. So let me show you the photos that I've got. So these are some photos. These are two photos that I've took of some flowers that were sent to me last year when I turned 60. These beautiful flowers here were sent to me from my parents, and this one here was sent to me from my sister in England. So I've been wanting to scrapbook these on a page, so tonight that's what I thought we would do. And I thought that these photos, or the colours in these photos, went really well with this beautiful ombre paper. So I've got a strip here which I've cut to 4 inches wide, or 10 centimetres in width. I have cut this down to about 25, 26 centimetres, but I am going to cut this down again a little bit. So with my photos, I've already matted this one here with a white mat, because I'm going to have this one matted, and this one here this is the one, as I said, in my here. So this one here is my 4x6 in a portrait, and this one here was also a portrait, and I wanted to make it a landscape, so I've cut it down to a 4x4, but I'm going to mount it as a landscape with the matting. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So along with that and that piece of Designer Series paper, I've also chosen this piece of Designer Series paper, which I'm going to use as one of my elements. It's going to be used as this piece here, where it's got for journaling, and I'll show you how, or tell you how you can journal on your cardstock. I've also chosen, my base is going to be my white, but I also have, even though Stamping Up aren't carrying it any longer, I have some black, basic black cardstock as well. When they last had black cardstock, I bought a whole lot of it, so just for scrapbooking. So I've got that as well. So I've got my black, I've got my white, then I've got this one here, which is petal pink. Yes, so I've got a piece of petal pink and a piece of petunia pop, okay, because I really wanted to bring in these colours from the paper. So let me just get started on this, and I'm going to pop a few of these things to one side. If you have any questions, please ask me, and I will try to answer them. You started out as a scrapbooker too, Leslie? 18 years. Yeah, I was trying to work it out today. It's probably been about, we've been living in this house for 10 years, so it may be 12, 13 years since I've done a lot of scrapbooking, and I used to scrapbook every single day and into the night. So I actually had my own business at one stage doing scrapbooks for other people. So there was nothing for me to be up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning still scrapbooking. But yeah, that was a long time ago. I need my sleep now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want this black to be a border around my white. So I'm going to gut this piece out, and I've already started, and I wanted to show you how to do that. So, of course, this is a 12 by 12. I think I said last time when I did scrapbooking, as soon as I get into scrapbooking, I start talking in inches. So I'll be popping backwards and forwards a little bit between inches and centimetres. So what I want to do is cut a 1-inch border or a 2.5 centimetre border all the way around. So I've got my trimmer here. Just make sure you can see that. And I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to just let me move a few things here. It's just not letting me get that in. Okay, I'm going to pop this edge here on 2.5 centimetres. Making sure it's buttered right up to that very edge there. So I'm going to take my cutting blade. I want to make sure that that's at 2.5. My cutting blade, I'm going to move that down until I get to that 2.5 centimetre mark on my blade. Mine's in centimetres, or 1 inch if you've still got the inch ruler on there. And I'm going to cut it till 28 centimetres, which is 1 inch from the bottom, so it's about 11 inches. So I'm going to take that right down until I get to that 28 centimetre mark. Now, it doesn't matter if I go over this a tiny little bit, because this is going to get covered up with the white, and I'm going to turn it around and just repeat. And you keep doing that until you've done the whole 4 sides. So as I said, I've already done 2 sides. So let's pop that on the 2.5. Making sure that that is on the 28 and go straight back up the top until I hit that 2.5 centimetre mark up the top up there. So now I've gone around, all the way around that. I can just pop this little piece out from the centre, and that can be used for something else later on, another project. Let me just pop that all underneath there. So that's left me with a frame, which is 2.5 centimetres wide all the way around. Now I'm going to grab my piece of white here, and I need to cut this down. Now I'm only wanting to put a border on this of only about that much. I don't want a huge border. I just want a little border around it. You're a morning person, not so much a night person. I'm a morning person now. I used to be very much a night person. And I think that's just because when my children were little, you know, you're always getting up to them every night and so forth. So anyway, I just want to cut a small section off on 2 sides of this. And I'm probably only going to cut 1 centimetre. Well, I'm going to start with 1 centimetre. Always best to start with a little bit, and if you have to cut off a little bit more, then you cut off a little bit more. If you cut off too much to start with, you can't put it back. So I'm going to cut 1 centimetre off one side of my length there, turn it around and cut 1 centimetre off the other side. So I'm still keeping it as a square. But what that's going to give me is 1 centimetre becomes half a centimetre all the way around. Hello, Nicole. Welcome from Perth. Thank you for joining us tonight. Okay, so that then now is my white piece of cardstock, and that should be around about half a centimetre all the way around. Okay, so it's going to sit on there just like that. So I'm going to grab my seal and I'm going to pop seal around my white cardstock here. I'm not going all the way around it. I'm just picking up, putting a piece every now and then. Never forget when the very first scrapbook page I think I ever did with a Creative Memories consultant, and I think I gave her a heart attack because I went around all the way around, all 4 sides continuously with her Creative Memories tape runner. And she was like, oh, you don't need to use that much. And I'm sure now I'm probably saying that to my customers. But yes, she did have a bit of a heart attack that day. So let's pop this on here. I want to try to make sure that I've got this even all the way around. And that's another reason why too I don't put a lot of adhesive now, because it's easier to remove it. I just very lightly sit that on there and make sure that I've got that all even. You could use your grid on your mat underneath, on your craft glass mat, to make sure that that's all square. So once that's all down, that's going to be well and truly adhered. So I'm just going to press that down and make sure that that's stuck on there. Okay. Now, when I was looking at this design earlier today, sizes and everything, I wasn't planning on putting the black mat. The black mat was an afterthought tonight. So I may have to trim down some of my papers a little bit. So here's what I'm thinking. So this piece here at the back, there's one piece of card which is at the back here. I've actually numbered it as number 2. My 1 was my white. So I've got, it's the petal pink piece, which I'm going to have there. So here's my piece of petal pink. And this piece at the moment is cut at 21 by 25. So the idea of this piece here was going to sit fairly close to the top and a little bit in from the side. Now, I sort of struggle with that a little bit. I'm sort of someone who can be very analytical, where everything has to be nice and square and perfectly measured all the way around. Though I do sometimes grab a ruler and check, but most of the time I go by, because I find that I'm pretty good by eye. So that one there, I'm quite happy for like at that size at the moment. I may trim it down a little bit. We'll just do a dry lay first and see how things are going to go. So this piece here I've cut at 10 centimetres. Now this is our ombre piece, and I've cut it at 25. Now I want this piece here to come down a little bit in my petal pink and come down onto my white. So far I'm still quite happy with my sizing, so I'm really happy there with that. Now, the next piece that I've got is this piece here, my designer series paper. And this is where this piece here, where it's journaling. Now, it tucks under this piece, this strip here, which is this one, and it's going to tuck underneath some photos. So this piece here, and I'm going to trim this down, is going to sit somewhere like that. So I'm actually quite happy with the way this is. So what I might do is start sticking these two pieces down so you can we can start getting this all together. So let's start with this piece here. So we're going to pop a little bit of adhesive in each corner. It's funny, when I do card make, I always use multi-purpose glue, but with scrapbooking, it sort of changes a little bit to quite happy to use the tape runners. Okay, I'm just making sure that that's where I want that to go. Yes. So that piece at the moment laying our base work for our photos to sit on. Now there's lots of page maps out there for scrapbooking, a lot on Pinterest. You've also got page maps. They put out a newsletter every month with different ideas of pages that you can create both in double and in single page layouts. I'm just wondering whether I might just bring that across just that little bit more. That's going to go about there. I just love this paper. I love how it goes from this this colour here, which is Flirty Flamingo, and then goes right into the Petunia Pop at the bottom. It's just such a gorgeous ombre with that little bit of a sheen and luster to it. I just think it's just looks wonderful, and it looks so good with the photos, because with my photos here, I've got these gerberas, which are in like your petal pink, but then these flowers here are sort of picking up your lilac tonings, which is really going into like your Petunia Pop. And then because this photo, these flowers here were very pastel, where these ones had the bright colours in it, the yellow roses. It's got carnations again, at almost the Flirty Flamingo to the petal pink in colour. But then these gerberas here are very much a Petunia Pop, or even a bit more pink. So, okay, let me just catch up a little bit here on everybody's chats. You've had a problem with your wrist, Nicole? Hello, Rose. How are you? Lovely to have you with us again tonight. Yeah, look, as long as your adhesives, Nicole, are acid-free, and if you're using liquid ones, just make sure if it's got an odor coming from it, then don't use it, because it's not acid-free. It's really what you like to use. It's yeah, but it is interesting, scrapbooking versus card making. Scrapbooking, I generally used to use. I've still got them. You should see the box of Creative Memories adhesives I've got, which would have to be 20-odd years old. Well, my youngest son is 22, so my oldest son is 29, so they would have to be 25 years old at least. But I've still got all the tabs and everything to use on the back of photos. And I used to go through them like you wouldn't believe. So Seal is probably the closest for me to what I used to use previously. But cards, I just go straight to using multi-purpose glue, though I will be using multi-purpose glue tonight to add. There's some of the accessories where you need to add a bit of glue. It's freezing in central Victoria, is it, Rose? It was pretty cold here too today. You have a box of them as well. I got about 4 or 5, maybe even more. I've even got their old Terran tape. I've even have some of their tape runner. Because when I moved into the craft room I'm in now, I actually pulled down the box and found the box that I had all sorts of stuff in it. But anyway, let's get back to this card. So my photo for here is going to sit around about there. Now, this is a photo that's supposed to have been the landscape. So what I've got is I've got a piece of petunia. I've cut it a little bit wider than my photo. My photo I've cut to 4x4. So this piece here, I've cut it about 4 1/8, I think I did. Let's just have a look and pop this on here. Yeah, probably around about 4 1/8, or, you know, sort of maybe, I think it's less than 4 1/4, but around about 4 1/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pop that photo onto this. So I'm just going to sit my photo on here, because this photo here I want to sit around about there. This one here is going to slip underneath it, and then I'm going to butt that photo right up to my main photo, okay? Because illusion that it's a bigger photo. So I've left a bit of a width here on the end, but I'm going to use that, and I'm going to stamp on that. And I was thinking there, let me grab my stamp sets. And I'm going to stamp on there, thank you so much, because these were flowers that, as I said, was given to me from my mother, my parents, and also from my sister in England. So my idea, but now when I'm putting that onto there, it does look very small. Wondering if I might just leave that. If I decide to go ahead with that, I'll come back. I was sort of hoping that was a little bit bigger. I would fill up that whole area. And I don't think I really want to put gratitude on there. Yeah, I think I'm going to be better off leaving that, and I might come back and have a look at that at another stage. I'm just not quite happy with the size of that. But I am going to continue leaving that there, because I need that to pull that. I can take that in a little bit. So what I want to do is work out, I like to sort of, the distance I have between the white space I have there, I'd like to have the same sort of white space on the other side. So that's what I'm sort of looking at the moment, and that's probably going to be there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave that there for a second, put some adhesive on each corner of my photo. Making sure I've got this up the right way. Now, I didn't plan this really well when I took these photos, because I didn't get a nice big photo of that whole bunch. And behind it is my sink, and an empty bottle, probably had water or something in there, drink bottle. So it's sort of got everything, all the rubbish, and that's why another reason why I wanted to cut this photo down a bit was to cut out the sink. That's going to sit right there. Now, I've buttered that up to there, so then I can get that nice and straight. So once I'm happy with that, what I'm going to do next is actually pop a little bit of adhesive on the back of this photo, and I'm going to pop that onto there, and I want that to sit roughly about there. So now I can work out exactly where I want that to sit on my page. Now I've got one more piece, because we've got that piece of designer series paper. So this piece, my photos haven't been adhered as yet to my page. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read at the same time. So Nicole, you did do calligraphy, and you're a bookbinder. Oh, Nicole, I want to become your friend. Mixed media artist, and have incorporated these into your scrapbooking. I love calligraphy. I started doing calligraphy when I was very young, when I was still at school, and enjoyed shocking CM consultants and scrapbooking shop owners alike. Good on you, Nicole. There are some mixed media stuff I want to learn. Where are you, Nicole? You might be a bit too far away from me to be able to. I've bought myself some gel plates and I'm really wanting to have a play with them. I've had a little bit of a play. But anyway, what I wanted to show you, I want to put a piece of the designer series paper, which is this one here, and I want this section here because these colours bring out the petal pink, and it also brings out a bit of that petunia pop, and then it's got a little bit of the greens in here. So it's got a bit of the Pretty Peacock or even Lost Lagoon in this bottom part here. So, but it's also the piece that they've recommended you put your journaling on. Now, I'm not putting a title on this page because I just didn't, we don't have the title that I thought was appropriate. So I thought, no, I'm going to leave it title free, but I do want to put journaling. So what I've done is I've written up my journaling. Now, I don't know how many of you actually have printed onto your cardstock, but here's my, so that's what, I've already cut this down and already printed on it. So there's my full piece of designer series paper. And what I've done is I've just cut the top part off, part that I don't really want to use in my layout, and I can use it for another card. But what I can do, I've got an Epson printer, and I find my Epson printers are very good. There's always a way to zoom. Yeah, I'm going away on holidays at the end of the month, so maybe after I get back, we'll get together, Nicole. I've got a lot to learn, I can tell you that much. An Epson printer is very forgiving with printing. Well, I've found the ones that I've had are very forgiving with printing a couple of layers. So what I tend to like to do is I go into Publisher, and in Publisher I will then bring up a text box. And in that text box I will put, right-hand click on it, and I will bring up best fit. So then I've measured the area I wanted to cover, and here I've measured 9 centimetres. So this is approximately 9 centimetres wide, 4 centimetres deep. And that's the size of my text box, okay? So I'm hoping I haven't lost you here. So I'll bring that up in Publisher, bring up my text box, make it to that size, and then make it best fit. Choose my font, and then I type in my text. I then will print it off. Okay, I've printed it here. Miles too small, so I've had then come back and adjusted it to the size, took it out some of the wording in it, just so then because I knew I didn't want to go any bigger than my text box size, so I had to remove the wording to get my font up to the size I want it. So what best fit does is whatever you type in, it'll start quite big. So if your first word the, it'll fill the whole text box with the word the. But as you add more, it will stay in the confines of the measurements that you've given, and your font will get smaller and smaller. So I've adjusted my font and my information that I've wanted, my journaling that I've wanted to put on there to fit within that text box. I've then printed it as a test piece onto a piece of white printing paper. Once I'm happy with that and happy with the sizing and everything, what I will then do is cut my piece that I want to put on it. I put some adhesive on the back of this. Now, I used to always use the repositional adhesive. This time I've just used Seal and then just tapped it on my clothing a couple of times just to take away some of that stickiness. Pop this over the top of my text box, okay, where my text box is going to be, and then run it through the printer again. So my printer is very forgiving. It will allow me to run 2 pieces like this through. Sometimes some printers won't allow you to do it. This piece could easily come off and get jammed in your printer. So you just got to test it first and make sure that you can do Excuse me, sorry, I'm still got this cold I'm still trying to get rid of. So I hope that's given you a little bit of an idea of how I do my journaling if I'm not going to handwrite it. So I've written this directly then, or printed this directly onto my piece of designer series paper. So then I'm going to be able to lift that off there. It has stuck a little bit because of being the seal. And that's the piece that I'm going to use in my layout here. So this piece here is going to get tucked under here and tucked underneath my floral here as well. And I'm going to lift that up, and that's where it's going to sit roughly about there. So once you're happy with that, because I've got a little bit of adhesive there, I'm just going to push that down, lift this corner up here, and just add some adhesive here and a little bit there. Remember, this is going into a plastic sleeve, so it's glued down like you're never ever going to lift it up again, because the plastic sleeve will hold it in place for us. So that's how I print on my my designer series paper. So there's so now I'm ready to pop that down onto there like that. So once I'm happy with all of that, I can then now adhere this all down. So I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive around my matting and my photos. Making sure my photos are up the right way. Darker green showing on there, because I really want this green here to be my highlight. I want the same sort of distance between this side and here, roughly about right. And that's good. Now you do have to be careful with photos. I do see that I have got fingerprints on there. And just wondering, actually, this will work a lot better. This is our this is the cloth, the microfiber cloth that Stamping Up have. So I'm just going to use that just to give my photos a good clean, because the oils and everything on your fingers will be on your photos because I'm handling them. Just keep something around close by when I did a lot of scrapbooking for that reason. Okay, so now that's my layout pretty much done. So now we just have to add a few decorative elements to it. So what I've got here, let me just move this out of the road. I've been playing here with a few different things, and I've already stamped and coloured 2 of my zinnias, and I want to colour another one, but here. So this was coloured using the petal pink in both the dark and the light, and the flirty flamingo. So I'm going to start off by using my light one, and because this is such a large flower, I'm going to sort of divide this up into 3 and just do 3 sections at a time. So all I'm going to do this colour is just colour in this whole area of the flower petals. All I'm just doing is laying down lots of ink, because we really want to get this cardstock a little bit saturated, and that way our colour is going to blend really well. Now you want to work on an area that's probably no bigger than about a 50-cent piece. That's why I've divided this up visually into thirds. And the way you know you've got enough ink on there is if you flip it over, you should have your ink coming on the other side. Working on the glass plate also helps, because it helps stop the ink from drying so quickly. So I'm going to pop that down there, and I'm going to grab my dark Flirty Flamingo, or do I want to grab my lighter one? What have I got here? No, just want the dark one. And I'm actually going to use the lines that Stampin' Up! Have given us on this image and add some flicks on those lines coming out from each petal, and just a couple around the bottom there. Just so we can add a bit more depth. I'm with my dark petal pink and add, whoops, I want the fine tip end, not the brush end, and add a little bit of the flicks with those as well, because it's going to be darker on the inside. But I'm also going down on the Flirty Flamingo, and that's pulling out and blending it. Once you've done that, you can come back in with your light and just go over the top, and that will continue to blend all of those colours. So we're just going to continue doing that all the way around. So now I'm going to do the next third of our image. Just trying to lay as much of this colour down as I possibly can. At this moment, I'm not being too finicky with it. Grab our dark Flirty Flamingo. Just follow those lines that Stampin' Up! Have given us. You can always add a little bit of pink, the Flirty Flamingo, around some of those petals. Come in with the dark petal pink and just start colouring, adding a bit more shading, going over the top and just drawing that colour down a bit. And then coming back over the top with the light, and that will just draw all that colour down. And of course, once this all dries, it will settle down a little bit and it will come out something similar to that. So we're just going to continue on, and I'll just finish off the last section of this. Now, I'm not quite sure yet whether I'm going to use all these 3 flowers or whether I'm just going to use at least 2 of them. But I want to have the 3 so I can then come in and move things around. As I said, I'm not being too fussy with the way I'm colouring this in. I just really wanted to get the colour in. And then I'm going to come in with my dark Flirty Flamingo again. And because these are zinnias, they've got the stamens which look like little stars. I'm just going through and just colouring in those little dots there. And I'm leaving the centre part in that white and black because I don't really want to make it too dark. And that's it there. So now, let me just move that out of the road for a moment, and we'll grab our mini cut and emboss. And I've got my die here. Move those out of the road. Now the colours I used for the second flower there were bubble bath in both the dark and the light, and petunia pop. Okay, so I did exactly the same thing, but they're the colours that I used. Yeah, it's always better having extra. It's nothing worse than sort of not ending up with enough. And you can pop them into a box and use them on another project. So I'm going to pop that onto there. Next challenge is trying to find how this is all matches up. And I think I've got it correct there. Okay. So there's our second one and number 3. Can't believe I managed to get those to all get the die on there correct way around. I thought I was going to be twisting that around for ages. Now, I haven't got the die completely straight on there, so if you want to, you can just grab your paper snips, do a little bit of fussy cutting, and we'll just remove a little bit of that white. I just didn't want that much on there. And this one as well, I'll just remove. Or if you want, you could just quickly, because it is a fairly simple sort of flower shape, I don't think it would take too much if you really wanted to fussy cut them out. There we go. They're all tidied up now and ready to go. So let's bring in our layout again. And our flowers and all our die cuts. So these die cuts I've cut from the Wishful Thoughts dies. So I've got this one here in Pretty Peacock. So I've cut out 3 of those for this so far, because I know I want at least 3 of them. I've stamped, these are the zinnia, Simply Zinnia leaves, and I stamped a few of these off using Lost Lagoon and die cut those. Now, I'm not quite sure yet whether I'm going to use those, but always good to have them here. And then also in the Thoughtful Wishes, you have these die shapes here. So you've got that one. Just popping that out. You've got that one. And I've just randomly cut out a whole stack of those. Now, I've just used a gold foil that I had because I haven't bought the new one from the catalogue. So I thought, no, that one will do for the moment. Just want to put a little bit of a gold highlight in this. Now, I've also got here my stamp, which is the Splatters, which is this little stamp here. And once I've laid out where I think I'm going to pop all of these elements here, I might add a few splatters of Petal Pink into this as well onto my white. So let's start layering this out and seeing what we come up with. Train of thought was because I've got a lot of my flower arrangement there is sitting sort of back on my coffee table. So I've got a lot of coffee table here at the front. So I thought that could go down onto there. And either, because the petunia pot type colour is in this arrangement down there. I thought, well, that could go down with that, and then that one may go up here. So let me just move these out of the road. Now I'm quite interested to hear whether you have any ideas of whether things should go to certain places or not. So please share. Now this one here, I want to have possibly going across here a little bit, because I do have that drink bottle that's sitting just about there, and I want to just draw the attention away from that a little bit. Now generally I tend to like everything symmetrical. So if I have one thing here, I will do another thing there. That's just the way my brain works. So, and I know in the drawing that they have, and I'm just, where is it here? They're recommending you have a main element here. They've got the title there, which is why I'm putting this flower here, because I'm not having any there as well. I'm actually not going to put, I'm definitely not going to put that one there. I may do something a little bit here by breaking up some of these leaves. I don't know as yet. So we'll just have a play and see. So at the moment, I'm sort of thinking now that I can either use that or that one, because that tends to blend into that. So maybe that might be better having that one there and then that one up there, which is actually closer to those in colours. So I was sort of thinking of going like that. This one here, I think it's just too big to go anywhere here. If it was a smaller flower, I think I might just leave that out and just have the two. Then we could pop a couple of these in here on top. For the moment, I'm just sort of doing it like a dry fit just to see how these are all going to go. I don't want to have too much gold. I don't want the gold to overtake it. I just really want just a few highlights. I'm just sort of thinking I might kind of break that in half, because if I do something there, just a little bit, because I don't want to take away just have a little bit from in there, maybe. Or coming from in there, that might be better. So what do we think? Do we need, I don't really want to put too much more gold in it, I don't think. So that's 3 leaves on that one. There's 3 leaves, because this one here is made up of 2 leaves, and then that's a third. That one there's only just got 2. I think that actually, I think less is more for this one. So I don't think we need that. And I really don't know with these ones whether this is just going to be, I think it's just going to be too heavy. I tend to like the lightness. Okay. So I think that's how I want that to look. So let's just glue this all down. So we'll start with this one here. And a bit of adhesive there, because I tend not to like to put adhesive or too much adhesive on my photos, and that will stick there like that. grab my dimensionals. And I'm just popping 2 dimensionals on the back, and I always put my dimensionals in the center, and that way I can pop things in underneath. And I want to have that flower just about there. So I'm going to use a bit of my multi-purpose glue on the back of there, and then we can tuck that in under there. A little bit of glue on the back of that one. I want to tuck that one about there. Okay. So let's move on to this one here. So let me just turn this around a little bit. And we're just going to work on this one here. So I've just lifted that corner of that photo. What I want to do is just add a bit of seal underneath there. That there. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue, not too much. And there like that. Now, I don't want to put too much glue and stuff there because, as I said before, this is going to go into a plastic sleeve, so that will keep all of this together. We just want enough to hold it down. You don't need to plaster everything with glue. Grab my seal. I'm going to pop a bit of seal just about there, so that will hold that in place. Pop a couple of dimensionals on the back of this one, again just in the center. Now I just need to turn this around again, just for the fact that I want to make sure I've got that flower facing the right way. A little bit of glue on the back. That. And that's going to go tuck underneath there. And a little bit more. Tuck that one underneath there like that. Okay. How's that looking? So we've basically got 3 elements. So the same as what you would do when you're putting on some bling onto a card. You want to have 3 elements in almost a triangle to bring your eye into the center. But what I do want to do is grab my Petal Pink stamp pad, and I want to do a little bit of generational stamping. So I've got these little, I'm just going to turn this a little bit. Got these little spots here, and I just want to do just stamps in there. Might just stamp this off a little bit first. Oops, let me just do that again. Just to sort of add this one here. I just want to come off a little bit that way, and I might just pop another one just there. One, two, three. Don't think it'll stamp on that too well. I might just put a little bit there. Don't want to get too carried away. I might just pop a little bit more in there like that. Just bring a little bit of that colour down. Oops. So there you go. So there's my layout. I hope you can see that well enough. Let me just bring it up because I've got my camera up quite high. So that's just done some generational stamping on there. Down there as well. So that's just a really simple layout, just using some of our designer series papers, drawing out some of the colours with some colouring and a few flourishes, picking up in some of the colours in this designer series paper as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's given you a bit of an encouragement to give scrapbooking a go yourself and using some of our Stamping Up products. All I can say is have a go, have some fun. There's no right or wrong. It's just a matter of getting out there and giving it a try. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I will see you on Friday with another project. Don't know yet what we'll be doing, but we'll give something a go. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you then. Thank you very much for joining me. Bye for now. Thanks, Nicole.